What's your lens?
We don't have.
No lens.
So let's start.
Yeah.
Okay? So, first of all, what do you think about now the political situation in Israel with people, with the Israeli army getting out of Gaza and the future and the stability?
Yeah. It's hard to make predictions, but one thing is for sure: terrorism will never stop. There is no explanation so far of why it is necessary at this time or at any other time to resettle the Jewish settlers out of Gaza. There may be some reasons, but they were never given. The many different reasons that people have guessed at, but nothing was offered by any person of authority in the government. The arguments you hear, it's good for Israel, it's good for the political situation. We have to make sacrifices and so on and so forth, but never a real analysis of why it is necessary and what good it will do. This is my analysis of the political considerations leading to this expulsion of Jewish settlers. And my prognosis is that terrorism will never stop. It may possibly improve the political standing of Israel with the United States, maybe with Europe, but not with the Palestinians. Possibly it is done to strengthen the present regime in the Palestinian Authority, to strengthen Abu Mazen by showing that he can get things accomplished by holding fire. But as long as they fail to disarm the armed groups, there will be no end to terrorism, and the situation will become more tense, and more Israeli violent actions will take place because terrorism is not going to be controlled.
And what about the situation with the other Arab countries around Israel?
It will stay the same
for the next future?
150 years. Unless, look, even in Iraq, where a change of regime has been done, and the new regime is very much aligned with the United States, there are no improvements of attitudes toward Israel.
And so nothing really has changed and will change. This is what you want?
There are changes, but there will be changes, foreseeable changes, but not in the direction that we think. For example, any one of the so-called moderate regimes in Egypt, in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, may collapse and fall in the hands of religious extremists, like the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. The Arab regimes are unstable. The so-called moderate regimes are unstable, and they may collapse unexpectedly. And then all agreements will be voided. The situation can become similar to that between Iran and Israel after the fall of the Shah. The relations were very friendly with Iran. After the Ayatollah Khomeini revolution, relations became terrible, and they're still terrible. And the only state that officially threatens Israel with total annihilation with nuclear weapons and rockets is Iran. And a similar revolution can occur in any one of the so-called moderate dictatorships: Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and possibly Iraq can go back to the hands of extremists, and other states as well. Yemen. If one falls, others may follow, because the religious forces in the Islamic world are extremely strong.
And what are the hopes for the future?
It's not hopes, it's predictions that will have more of the same. The Muslim and Arab world, especially the Arab world, is not going to stabilize in the foreseeable future. Has been unstable and will stay unstable.
And let's change slightly the subject. So, and what do you think about now the new type of relation between Europe and Israel? Is there any such new type of relationship?
There are some changes in the rhetoric, and the relations have always been good, even though the rhetoric and the attitude of the press were bad. The relations are good and very good. The commercial, cultural, and even strategic relationships between Israel and Europe. Israel gets very bad press, but no more than that.
And now let's talk about science.
Yeah.
What about, what do you see here about the science in Israel compared to Europe and the United States?
The science in Israel was good, and it got hit very acutely by mainly the present regime. For about 4 years, budgets have been cut for research universities, and also much of the higher education money has been shifted to colleges, undergraduate colleges, in which there is no research. And research has suffered perceptibly. The number of scientific publications coming out of Israel fell considerably. The staff in research universities has been reduced 20 or 30%. And unless there is a big change in policy, probably a turnaround, following a turnaround in the economy, the situation is not going to improve.
Which will have an impact on the Israeli economy?
A long-term impact, because the Israeli economy has been driven by high-tech and technology, biotechnology, for more than 10 years. And the economy has made tremendous progress, mainly due to the influx of the Russian immigrants who brought along their education, and to the output of Israeli schools. Now that no new immigration brings trained, educated people, and the output of the universities went down, in about 10 years there may be big impact similar to that that happened in Australia about beginning 1989. It lasted 11 years before the Senate appointed a committee of inquiry to investigate the subversion of Australian universities. The impact was tremendous. It can be predicted that if the same policy in Israel persists, that similar subversion of higher education and the impact on the economy will be seen. But it's not immediate. It takes about 10 years to become understood by everyone. And it takes more than 10 years to recover.
And to finish, let's talk about mathematics. So, what is now the situation in the mathematics in Israel compared to Europe or United States?
I did not compare the United States to Europe. The United States clearly leads in the physical sciences and also in biology and biotechnology. And in Europe, especially in Germany, still the impact of World War II is felt to this day. Germany has not recovered. Now, there are trends in Europe that have been overcome in the United States in mathematics. To stick to the program of Hilbert and to drift away from science and technology in departments of mathematics in research universities. This trend has been also in Israel, prevalent in Israel, and now that the universities are in crisis, mathematics has suffered, applied mathematics has suffered more than pure mathematics. And the support for mathematical research in Israel is much smaller than in the United States. And in Europe it is much smaller than in the United States. And not as much freedom is given to mathematicians to do what they want for the money, for the support they get. And the situation in Europe is even worse. Agencies that fund research give very little freedom to investigators. Also the structure of European funding is very different than that in the United States. There is money but it's not as accessible as American money. The situation in Israel is a mixture. There is enough freedom, but not enough money.
And so finally, if we can extrapolate the future of applied mathematics, or the future of mathematics, what would be the leading direction in the future, if we can make any prediction?
In Israel, at the moment, it seems that applied mathematics at Tel Aviv University is going down and will possibly disappear, while the Technion is trying to maintain its program. The Hebrew University in Jerusalem is trying to upgrade its program, but it's still in a very early stage. The Weizmann Institute is very small, has a very small department, and their program in applied mathematics covers only a small fraction of applied mathematical research. But there is no explicit policy of either supporting or destroying applied mathematics at the Weizmann Institute. Well, there is a tendency at Tel Aviv University to do away with applied mathematics mainly for ideological reasons, not for any other considerations.
And now if we talk about the field of itself, of applied mathematics,
Applied mathematics has been traditionally connected to science and technology, and there is much new science to which mathematics can connect, but this connection can be done only by young people who can connect and learn new things, while the old generation will stay with numerical analysis and with fluid dynamics, partial differential equations. That is to the technology of the 50s and the 60s, to the science of the 50s and the 60s, and to the science of the Cold War. To develop mathematical connections with the new science of biology, which is taking central place, much effort will have to be made, because this is a very interdisciplinary field that requires much training for researchers. And this is the problem everywhere, not only in Israel. The emerging field of applied mathematics in molecular biophysics and cellular biophysics suffers from an acute shortage of people trained in both biology and the physical sciences. And Israel is in no worse or no better situation than Europe or the United States.
And most of what remains to be done in that direction, I mean, would be coming from this young generation that would be able to train?
Hopefully. Some of the young researchers in physics and applied mathematics will make an effort to learn enough biology to be able to do independent research and to establish cooperation with scientists in the biological sciences. But there is still a long way everywhere for the physical sciences to penetrate into the biological sciences in a significant way.
Okay, I'll stop now.